Roman goes to pin Edge, he just smears his right hand across Edge as he makes the pin. Like, Roman's arrogance is just awesome. Hey, my name is Jude, and our tribal chief Roman Reigns conquered once again. So WWE just had their Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Their first pay-per-view in front of a full capacity crowd. And the main event of that pay-per-view was an amazing match filled with compelling story and character. A title match for the Universal Championship. Our tribal chief Roman Reigns defending his Universal Championship against the rated R superstar Edge. So, I want to talk about it. So the story going into this match, Edge returned 2 months after failing to capture the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 37 from Roman Reigns in a triple threat match. Edge said that he rewatched the match back, and in the moment where he locked Roman Reigns in the cross-face submission with a piece of the steel chair, he saw fear in Roman's eyes. Fear that he would lose the Universal title. Fear that he would lose it to Edge. Edge claims that since WrestleMania, that one fear has been manifesting in Roman's head. And because of that, he knows that he can beat Roman, and Roman knows it too. Roman responds by calling Edge a liar. Reigns says that maybe he had a little bit of fear when he was locked in that submission hold, but he pushed through it. He pushed through it, rose up, and smashed Edge at WrestleMania. He smashed him, he stacked him, and he pinned him. Even made merch out of it too. Roman says that Edge should have never went out and said, "Oh, Roman Reigns fears me, da 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 da," because he doesn't. He is the tribal chief, and at Money in the Bank, he will smash Edge, he will pin Edge, and Edge will acknowledge him. Now, on to the match itself. The match starts with both men having a stare down. The crowd starts chanting for both men. One half chants for Edge, and the other half chants for Roman. Edge acknowledges the chants, getting all hyped up, and Roman just looks around the crowd and he's like, "What?" He starts yelling at the crowd, demanding them to acknowledge him and him only. This was awesome. Right from the get-go, without even laying a single finger on each other, the two men clearly established who was the villain and who was the hero. Then the two men lock up in a collar and elbow tie-up. They move around for a bit, and eventually Roman pushes Edge into the corner. As Reigns breaks up the hold, he just smears his right hand across Edge's face with an arrogant smile. Edge is like, huh, alright. That's how it's gonna be. They lock up again, and this time Edge pushes Reigns into the corner. Once he breaks up the hold, Edge takes his right hand and smears it across Roman Reigns' face, giving the head of the table his receipt. Edge backs away, looking all cocky, while Roman is looking P.O.'d. The crowd starts chanting for Edge, and Roman is just like, that was cool. I always wondered how Roman would react in front of a live crowd, and I'm not disappointed. They lock up again, and this time Edge wrestles Roman to the ground, and he just starts smacking Roman across the head, just really aggravating the Samoan champion even more. They wrestle again, and as Edge rebounds off the ropes, Roman meets him halfway and then knocks him down with a big shoulder tackle. Edge rolls out of the ring, and Roman starts taunting the crowd like a big jerk, and the crowd just boos him. Edge rolls his muscles out with a face that says, "Alright, I know what I'm up against now," and the two get into some chain wrestling. Reigns starts using his sheer power to get the better of Edge, who starts working Roman's arm to gain the advantage. On commentary, Michael Cole plays up Edge's tactic in working the arm can severely reduce Roman's power. That was cool. Michael Cole did a really good job at highlighting the importance of Edge's offense, thus adding more drama into the match itself. Roman slips out of the ring, favoring his arm, and then his manager Paul Heyman starts giving him a pep talk, telling Reigns to think about his father, Sika, and think about how he would act in a situation like this. I like that spot. It just reminded us how important Paul Heyman's role is as the special counsel to the tribal chief. Roman slides back into the ring, and then he and Edge just start laying into each other with just big forearms. They brawl to the outside, and then Reigns delivers a big Samoan drop to Edge. Roman then grabs Edge's head and then just drives it into the steel post. We then got a really sweet spot where Reigns slides back into the ring while Edge is down on the outside, and then Reigns starts doing the Birdman hand rub in the ring. I thought that was great. It was a really cool moment where Reigns could just show off his braggadocious confidence. As Edge crawls back into the ring, Reigns goes on the offensive and then just starts punishing Edge. Edge does a great job here at selling how every move that Reigns does is like getting hit by a monster, and every now and then Reigns takes time to verbally taunt the crowd. At one point, he grabs Edge by the hair, brings his head up, and he yells to the crowd, "Look at him! Look at him! This is what happens when you put him in here with the head of the table." Another awesome moment of Reigns just showing off his ruthless yet cocky attitude. And every time he does it, the crowd just boo the hell out of him, highlighting that the tribal chief has everyone in the palm of his hand. Roman goes to pin Edge. He just smears his right hand across Edge as he makes the pin. Like, Roman's arrogance is just awesome. Despite the assault, Edge doesn't give up. He endures the pain, and eventually Edge starts firing back up, but then Roman stops him with a boom! Huge haymaker. Roman follows up with a big drive-by kick, essentially knocking the lights out of Edge. Roman goes for the pin, but Edge kicks out at two, showing off his fighting spirit. Reigns goes to the corner and then sets up for a Superman punch. Roman goes for it, but then Edge catches Reigns for a backslide pin. Reigns kicks out at two, and then he and Edge just boom! Boot each other in the face at the same time. That was a really sick spot, and both men just lay down for some time while the fans get more hyped up. The two men recover, and then they just start laying into each other again with big, vicious forearms. Roman goes for another haymaker, but then Edge ducks out of the way and then hits Reigns with a sit-out neckbreaker for a close 3 count. As Edge gets to his feet, he starts getting babyface fire to the applause of the Texas crowd. As Roman gets to his feet, Edge mounts a big babyface comeback. Big clothesline, big flapjack, and a huge execution. Edge goes for the pin, but then Roman kicks out at 2.5. Edge starts laying into Roman Reigns some more, and then we get another cool spot. Edge puts Roman Reigns on the top rope, and then he goes to stand outside on the ring apron. He then runs up to Roman, jumps up, and then on the way down, he grabs Roman's head and then smashes it into the steel post. Roman is out of it. His body is just like dangling upside down in the corner. Edge sees this, and then he just starts to stomp a mud hole in him like he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Edge then drags Roman into the middle of the ring and then applies the STF. Edge wrenches the hold as much as he can, but Reigns endures through the pain and he crawls to the ropes. Roman reaches for the ropes, but Edge stops him and then transitions from the STF into a crossface. Despite the new submission hold, Reigns fights through the pain, and then finally he grabs the ropes, forcing Edge to break his submission. Edge crawls to the opposite corner, his face just painted with murder, and he sets up for his big finishing move, the spear. Edge goes to the spear, but Roman blocks it by catching Edge in a guillotine chokehold. He wrenches the choke as hard as he can. Edge tries to fight through it, but eventually he slowly fades away. But as the crowd chant for Edge more and more, the Rated R superstar springs back to life, and then he pushes himself and Roman through the middle rope. They fall out of the ring, and as they crash onto the floor, Roman breaks the guillotine choke. As both men recover on the outside, Roman notices that Edge is lined up perfectly to the corner barricade. With a savage look, Roman goes to spear Edge through the barricade. But at the last second, Edge ducks out of the way, causing Reigns to just explode through the barricade by himself, and the crowd pop big. As Roman recovers, Edge notices that Reigns is lined up to another barricade next to the one that he just ran into. With another savage look on his face, Edge sprints and then he successfully spears Roman Reigns through the other barricade, and the crowd go nuts. Edge then fireman carries Reigns back into the ring and goes for the pin. The ref counts 1, 2, no! Reigns kicks out at 2 3/4. Edge is just stunned at the kick out, and once he recovers, he picks up Reigns and goes for another execution. However, Roman stops him and then counters with a boom! Big haymaker. Then Reigns goes to the corner and then he hits Edge with a big Superman punch. As Edge goes down, he falls into the referee. The referee's leg is hurt really bad and he's essentially taken out of the match. Heyman informs Roman that the ref is down. Roman then goes to the outside, grabs a steel chair, and then breaks off a piece of it. The same piece that Edge used on him at WrestleMania. Roman gets into the ring, laughs at Edge's prone body, and then he goes to lock Edge into a crossface with that chair piece, just like how Edge did that to him at WrestleMania. However, Edge stops him and then he proceeds to unleash a volley of fists and headbutts at the Tribal Chief to take him down. Edge grabs that chair piece with a crazed look and then he locks Reigns into that crossface with that chair piece, just like he did at WrestleMania. He wrenches the crossface with that chair piece as hard as he can in order to make Roman Reigns pass out or tap. Then we see the Usos, Roman's cousins, walk to the ring. It looks like they're going to help the Tribal Chief and the crowd just boo them. However, the Usos are stopped in their tracks by Rey and Dominic Mysterio, the same team that the Usos won the tag team titles off of earlier that night on the Money in the Bank kickoff show. The two teams then get into a brawl that spills out to the backstage. Back in the ring, Edge is just wrenching onto that crossface more and more and more, and Roman is about to pass out. But then suddenly, Seth Rollins slides into the ring and then kicks Edge in the back of the head, breaking the hold. Tensions have been building between Edge and Seth Rollins these past few weeks, and it has now reached a breaking point at Money in the Bank with Seth's interference. Roman recovers, crawls to the corner, and then sets up to destroy Edge for good with a massive spear. Roman charges across the ring, but then Edge meets him halfway with a spear of his own, and the crowd lose their minds. Edge goes for the pin, but there's no referee. Still, the crowd starts chanting, 1, 2, but then Reigns kicks out? Even when there was no referee? And then a new ref rushes into the ring and makes the actual count, and then Reigns kicks out again at 2.5. That must have been a botch. I think the plan was for Edge to make the pin and then have the crowd start chanting 1, 2, 3 while Roman is down. That way we get the visual pin of Edge pinning Roman Reigns, thus implying that Edge would have won the match and become Universal Champion if there was a referee. But in reality, Roman Reigns kicked out at 2.5 when there was no ref, and then when a real ref came in to make the actual count, he kicked out again. So that one mistake just made that whole dramatic moment fall flat. I don't know if Roman mistimed that spot or if he was just confused throughout that whole sequence. Either way, it looks like Roman screwed up big time in that spot, and hopefully he learns from that mistake, because that looked pretty bad. Anyway, back to the match. Edge is looking shocked at the kick out, and then he goes to the corner and then he sets up for another big spear. However, Edge notices something on the outside, and it's Seth Rollins again. As Rollins climbs onto the apron, Edge runs across the ring and then just takes out Seth with a big boot. Then as Edge turns around, boom! He eats a massive spear from Roman Reigns. Roman goes for the cover, and then the ref counts 1, 2, 3. The Tribal Chief has conquered the Rated R Superstar, and he's still our Universal champion. Even with that botchy spot where Reigns kicked out twice, this was still a fantastic main event title match. It had exciting drama, exciting action, and told an amazing story of these two alpha male top tier athletes going to war to find out who really is the real Universal Champion. And Edge could have won if it wasn't for that dastardly Seth Rollins. While this match was the main event, there were some juicy moments that occurred after it. Roman and Seth, the former Shield brothers, had a stare down, much like they did at Backlash, teasing a future match between the two. Then as Edge recovers from the loss, he tackles down Rollins and the two men get into a big brawl that spills to the back. Then Reigns grabs a mic, stands in the middle of the ring, and then says, "And now the world can acknowledge me." And then Wabadoo! Do! John Cena returns to WWE to a massive pop from the fans. Cena's back, awful merchandise and all, and he is ready to rumble. He runs into the ring, does his usual, throw the hat to the crowd, rebound off the ropes a bazillion times. He then stops and has a stare down with our tribal chief. Cena looks at the Universal title, looks back to Roman, and then just does. This was a great segment that ultimately sets up two big matches for their next pay-per-view, SummerSlam. The brawl between Edge and Seth Rollins sets up a big grudge match between the two men at the biggest party of the summer, and the face-off between Cena and Reigns sets up what ultimately is going to be the main event match at SummerSlam. A Universal title bout with our Universal Champion, our Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, defending his title against Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect. This was the rumored main event for SummerSlam, and to be honest, I'm glad that that rumor is now fact. This is arguably the biggest match they can do for SummerSlam. Roman Reigns right now is the top dog in not just WWE, but in the entire pro wrestling industry. And Cena is pretty much trending in the mainstream right now. Fast and Furious just came along. He's got the new movie, The Suicide Squad. There's also that thing with Taiwan and China, but we won't get into that. So it makes sense for WWE to put these two together in a big time match so they can get as many people as they can to watch their big summer event. It'll be a big blockbuster match that will go down in wrestling history. Because our Tribal Chief is going to absolutely decimate Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect. Roman Reigns is going to beat the absolute piss out of John Cena left, right, and center. And SummerSlam will end with our Tribal Chief standing over the prone body of John Cena, holding up his Universal title in the air and demanding the whole world to acknowledge him. So, those are my thoughts on the fantastic main event title match between Roman Reigns and Edge at Money in the Bank 2021, and the segments that happened afterwards. If you have any thoughts, feel free to lay them down in the comment section below. But that's all I got for you right now. Until the next video, be well, be safe, and be happy. Catch you later.